What's up, homies? This is Jokesta back at you with a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a top 10 video and explaining all the best gunsmith for the top 10. Shout out to Signal for helping us out with the builds and finding the best guns for the season. So let's get right into it. Coming up at number 10, we have the PDW, and this is the gunsmith for the PDW. But there is also another weapon on that top 10. It is the Bison. So PDW and the Bison, they're both at the same level. And this is the PDW gunsmith. We're going to go ahead and show you guys the Bison build. Now this is the Bison build. They both have a crazy amount of bullets. So when you're in a gunfight, you can just literally spray and pray. The recoil is really easy to control both of these weapons. So you won't have any issues with that. It's just your personal preference. I prefer the PP19 over the PDW, but you guys can mess around. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to top number 9. So at number 9, we have the M13 and the Growl. The Growl is the new weapon that came out in the battle pass, and it is a similar level as the M13. So if you guys want to mess around with them, I prefer the Growl because the sights you can actually change and you can mess around with. Now the M13 sights are pretty good too, but people prefer having better sights. So this is the build for the M13. Shout out to Signal for hooking us up. There's a slight difference between the older builds. This is a newer build. They changed up the magazine, and I didn't used to use Silent Barrel. I used to use something else, but yeah, that's the changes for the M13. So this is the build for the Growl 5.56. This is the build for this weapon. It is not bad at all. I've used it in my previous video. If you guys want to check that out, there's a link in the description. This is the build that you should use, and turn off default look. That way you can actually see the different sights. Moving on to top number 8 on the list. Let's get right into it. Next up we have is the PKM and the UL7 something. The PKM is what I would personally use if I was playing ranked. I think it's definitely a better LMG compared to the UL, but this is the build that I would be using, and shout out to Signal again for hooking us up with the PKM builds. There's a lot of people using the PKMs in like hardpoint doms and team deathmatch, but this is the build that you should try using, the PKM. The recoil is not that bad. It's just you got to drag down a little bit, so keep that in mind. Yeah, that is the PKM build. We're going to go ahead and show you the UL736 build, and honestly it's not bad either. It's just I personally prefer the PKM, but honestly UL736, they have really good sights too. So kind of like you got to mess around to see what you actually like. Coming up at number 7, we have the QQ9. A lot of people actually like using the QQ9 search and destroy, and I've seen people use it because of the mobility. If you have good movement, all you got to do is just slide around, pre-fire, and strafe a lot with the QQ9 and you'll be dominating. But this is not the only weapon available for that range. On top of number 7 on the list, there's a few other weapons as well at the same level, and this is the first time I think in this season where we have a lot of similarity weapons on that rating. So top number 7 is not just the QQ9, it's also the Fennec. The Fennec is also at that level, and it is not the only weapon. There's another weapon out here that I'm gonna mention in a second, but this is the best Fennec build to use for search and destroy. I don't know about hardpoint domination, but generally in a smaller map, Fennec is gonna pop off for you. So if you can use this on firing range or something else, this is going to help you out a lot. Now keep in mind, you want to make sure you have close range, because this Fennec is pretty bad in long range. That is not the only thing. We also have the Switchblade coming in at the same level. So QQ9, Fennec, and the Switchblade all at the same level. They're pretty much equal back to back. It's just personal preference. So a lot of people are actually rocking the Switchblade and the QQ9, but I feel like the Switchblade is a little bit more popular in search and destroy, but then goes to QQ9 and then goes to Fennec. So it's honestly personal preference to what you like using in Call of Duty Mobile. I prefer to use Switchblade right now because that's what everybody's rocking, but that is number 7 on the top tier list. There's definitely better SMGs out there, so get prepared. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, and check out the SXE finger sleeves at www.sxe.gg. We are actually going to be running out pretty soon, so make sure to grab some stuff before they get sold out. Coming up at number 6, we have the Kilo 141 and the Krig 6. Now they both kind of drop down a little bit, but they're both good assault rifles. If you guys want to go ahead and keep running the Kilo or the Krig 6, they're still pretty good. So this is the Kilo 141 build, and it's been the same for a long time. And honestly, I see a lot of people using the Kilos in the comp teams. Like I was watching a tournament, people are using the Kilo over the Krig 6, which is kind of interesting, but it's personal preference. This is the Kilo 141 build, and I prefer, like, if I had a default, if I didn't have a mythic or a legendary, I would probably rock the Kilo over the Krig 6 because the Krig 6 sights are terrible on default. So the Kilo 141, this is the build that I would recommend. The code is up on the corner right here as well, so if you want to copy, just copy that build and paste that into your loadouts. So yeah, that is the Kilo build. We're gonna go ahead and show you guys the Krig 6 build. This is the Krig 6 latest build, and if you have the legendary or the mythic, this is perfect. If you don't have the mythic or the legendary, these builds aren't really good for the sights for this weapon, because the sights are the only reason why people don't use other guns. And the Krig 6 is perfect example why a lot of people don't like to use the default. If they had the mythic or legendary, they would absolutely use it. But again, this is the build that I would recommend for anybody out there. Personally, I'd go with the Krig 6 if I don't have the mythic or the legendary, because it's a lot easier to use, and they're in the same level as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to top number 5. Coming up at number 5, we have the Holger. This is the most annoying LMG out there. I always die to it, and I'm annoyed because of one thing. It is the disabled perk on this thing. It sucks because if you're playing with SMG or assault rifle or sniper, you kind of struggle with this because this disabled perk actually slows you down. So if you can see, body shots, impaired enemy motion, LMGs, SR, and MR. Now, sometimes if you're using the sniper, I don't think it really does anything, but if you're using the SMG, you're kind of screwed. The Holger is a powerful weapon, so if you want to actually slow down people, this is the build to use. So this is the top number 5. I'm kind of glad it's going down the list now. It's kind of going away, but I don't know how long it's going to stay up top so far. But one of the biggest things I'm happy about is the Kilo and Krig 6 are kind of going away. You know, finally we need something new. So Holger 5, top 5 for sure. We're going to go ahead and move on to top number 4. Coming up at top number 4 on the list is the HVK 30. Now, if you guys don't know, in Search and Destroy, it's kind of really popular right now. It is a lot of people like trying so hard with HVK, but it's not the only weapon on top number 4. This is just the same level as the LK24. If you haven't noticed, the LK24 is making a lot of noise lately. A lot of people actually like the LK, and I'm surprised that the LK24 and the HVK surpass the Krig 6 and the Kilo. So this is kind of like a nice way that we're going to a different path. So for right now, the LK24, it's a pretty good gun, but if you do have the legendary version of the LK24, you can actually take off the optics and switch over to granulated. So that's another build that you can try. But if you want to use red dot, you just use this, take off the granulated, and you'll be good to go. It is a very good build, but I personally haven't used it too much. If I was to use the LK24 or the HVK, if I had to pick from one of these weapons, I would probably pick the HVK. It is kind of more reliable, but the only thing is it runs out of bullets way too fast. So make sure to just reload every time you get a kill. That's my advice. But anyways, moving to top number 3. Top number 3 is 3 weapons. 3 weapons that are coming into the same level as top number 3. First one is the Cordite. I wasn't expecting this, but Cordite is apparently very, very, very good. I don't know why people haven't been using it. It's very underrated. And if you want to try to dominate in some games, try out this Cordite build. It is very good. I like it. I'm going to try this out for a Search and Destroy video, so stay tuned for that. But it's not the only weapon out here. Like I mentioned, there's another weapon, and it is the CBR. CBR is also on that list, and if you want a good weapon, Cordite, CBR, they're both at the top 3 tier list. But there's also another weapon out there that you guys probably not expecting this. It is the assault rifle, and I'm going to show you guys which one it is in just a moment. It is the FR1. This is the weapon. I was surprised as well. I was like, wait a minute, the FR1 is top 3 with the CBR and the Cordite? That's actually pretty crazy. If you want a good assault rifle, this is the gun to use. It is very good. FR1 is listed up there pretty high. The range, everything's pretty much solid. The mobility as well. That's the thing about the FR1 is that mobility, like I was able to slide, I was able to like glide cancel as well with the FR1. So it's like a very solid assault rifle for somebody that's passive aggressive, or maybe even passive. Like you can actually probably slow it down and play super passive, and maybe at some point aggressive, but to play aggressive it's gonna be a little hard. The FR1 shoots pretty fast. It has that speed, it has everything that you want, you know, normal assault rifle. But yeah, again, it's Cordite and the CBR, same level along with the FR1. Coming up at number 2 is the Razorback. It's apparently the best SMG for this season. So if you want to try this out, go for it. But if you haven't grinded for the rapid fire perk, go and do it, because a lot of people don't even have it unlocked. Even my second alt account, I don't have this build fully completed because of the rapid fire. I need to grind it out, but if I do, I'm going to be abusing the Razorback. The Razorback, it is amazing. It's one of the best guns out there right now, best SMG in the game. It's powerful, it has great stuff, but if you want a different build, I can tell you one right now. So instead of using the granulated grip tape, you can actually add more bullets with the Razorback, and this is the extended mag A. And those two you can swap back and forth if you feel like, you know, you need more ammo or you feel like you need more control. But start off with the granulated grip tape. Once you got that, you actually kind of like get to practice a little bit. Once you get used to it, then you can actually get more extended mag or whatever. I'm going to use extended over grip tape because why not? Overall, pretty solid build. This is the top number 2 weapon right now. And that kind of shocked me too. I was like, wait a minute. Coming up at number 1 is the XPR 50. The XPR 50 is considered one of the underrated weapons in the multiplayer section because not a lot of people use it. A lot of people use the DOQ, the Locust, the Rytek, the Koshka. Like those people use those weapons. Not a lot of people use the XPR 50. So if you wanted to change the game a little bit, use the XPR 50. This gun is going to annoy a lot of people, but this is just one of them. The second one out here is the SVD. If you want to be annoying, the SVD is one of those weapons. It is also at the same level as the XPR. The SVD is just you spam and you good to go. Now, that's not the only thing. The marksman rifle, the SKS, is considered also the number 1 weapon in the game. It's hard to master, but if you are able to become the best SKS player, I've noticed a few people. There's Mr. Tom out there who's running the SKS. There's ways to use it and that I've never saw someone use until I met Mr. Tom. And Tom was able to use the SKS and search and destroy so well that he is like the top 5 on the leaderboards for the SKS. It's crazy. This thing is very, very dangerous. If someone masters this weapon, it is the end of the world. There is like the XPR, the SVD, those weapons are dangerously OP. Yeah, these are all the builds that I would recommend. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, slap a like, comment down below, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in another video. Peace out.